Well, here we are, folks. We finally reached a crucial moment in the Cowabunga summer. I am, of course, talking about the actual reason we're doing this. Why I've been going through all of these past Ninja Turtle movies is because there was a new one coming out in a theater, not like Rise of the TMNT, which was a movie for streaming, which I'm gonna get to. I haven't got to that one yet. We have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. This is from Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, that creative team that has done so many great things in the comic book medium on the big screen. And now they're doing something in the same medium. They're taking a comic book from their childhood, but they're making it for kids, which is interesting. If you look at like their stuff, Preacher, The Boys, and Invincible, an adult audience. So them doing a Ninja Turtle thing, you hear that originally, you could be like, yeah, I guess there's something raunchy and fun to play with there. But the fact that they're like, no, we're actually going to make this for like today's youth and do something that feels evocative of like the TikTok generation, that shows some real prowess that I wasn't expecting from either of those guys. Rogan and the Turtles works. That pairing is fun. When you're trying to do something new with the animation, that's also very exciting. We have passed and we've moved far beyond the days where everything had to look like a Pixar movie. Spider-Verse was kind of like the first big one to prove that. The subsequent ones to try and do something new with the animation have all been phenomenal. Ninja Turtles is no exception now. They have taken that style. This is from like the Mitchells versus the Machine mixed with Into the Spider-Verse. And if you just kind of made it look like a moving sketchbook, and that is the vibe we're going for here. And just off the bat, let's talk about that animation. I'm not an expert on animation. I don't know a thing about it, but I do know when something looks like it had the heart and soul poured into it, and that's what this looks like. This feels and just presents like a huge passion project just come to life. Just in terms of like the way like the footage actually moves, like there's some shaky cam stuff and there's some long takes for animation, and every design is so perfectly like sketchbook graffiti, like something you'd see on like a subway train. It is amazing how this looks. And on top of that, Mutant Mayhem is a really good movie. It's incredibly fun. It is so hilarious, and it's just this culmination of things that we've kind of needed for this property in a long time. Now, as I've been going through these movies, I have noticed a couple of things. First off, the early ones are weird. Like, they're very bizarre and strange, and I would be hesitant to show it to, like, a 7-year-old, like a 7-year-old for today's audiences. A 7-year-old in the 90s is not the same type of 7-year-old you have today. That 90s movie's weird. So when you're making, like, a children's movie with the Turtles, you do it differently than you did in the 90s. You do it differently than you did in the 2000s. For a 2020 audience, you do not get a better version of a Ninja Turtle movie. The characters all act like teenagers born in this generation. The things they say, the way they behave, the way they just present and speak and react and feel, it's very modern. It's very current. A lot of the other iterations play older, but they don't actually say, like the specific age. It's like, they're supposed to be 15, but the voice actor is 32. Like it never comes across as we're seeing an actual teenager here. This does. They are smaller than a lot of the other people in the movie. Their voices are higher. They react like a kid would. They love the internet. They like old stuff. They are trying to figure out this place in the world that doesn't really accept them yet. And that is a universal thing for teenagers to explore. Like, what is your place in this world? What do you want to be? Do you want to be stuck at home your whole life, cooped up away when you could see and experience and explore all these great stuff? So it does a lot of that thing. It does a lot of like the coming of age story where you have to spread your wings and fly. And I know how like maybe some like particular fans would be like upset if that's like they're not stealthy, they're not doing a Frank Miller thing. No, they're not. And I'll say in a post MCU universe where everybody knows who everybody is, we don't have to do that with the Turtles. It's just not interesting to have them hide in the shadows every 10 minutes now. They want to be out in the spotlight. Let's do a story with them out in the spotlight. That's an interesting concept, and it's a really fun thing to explore. I dig that. This is a really smart story. It feels like a coming-of-age tale with these brothers who are longing for a greater sense of purpose, want to see more of the world, don't know how to fit in, can't really fit in. Love the idea of humans. And they're just like trying to understand, like, is their father right? Do they have to stay hidden? What is so wrong about the humans? Like, is everybody the same? They meet a spunky girl named April, and suddenly their world is opened up to some new possibilities as there's like a crime boss named Superfly who is doing some dangerous stuff. And when they try to take down this crime boss to maybe get some recognition, they learn that there are other mutants in the world. This is called Mutant Mayhem, of course. It's very mutant heavy. And I really dig that because a lot of the movies, I think almost every one, leans into the Shredder. Now, I would have liked to see the Shredder in this. I'm always a fan of the Shredder, but having it be like, no, it's Ice Cube as a fly. That's the villain? You're like, okay, you're trying something new. And you're trying something that works to the format that you're using. When you have a very specific style of animation, let's play to that, you know? Let's get some weird designs and some weird creatures to play with. Let's have a weird Mondo Gecko and Ray Fillet and Wingnut and all of them. They could just show up and be like very specific designs for this universe, and I like that. A lot of the other iterations, the sizing is almost relatively the same solely because it's like the toy thing where they're all built at the same height. But in this one, you got a little Genghis frog who could fit in the palm of your hand. Well, maybe not the palm of your hand. And then you got a big Bebop and Rocksteady, and they're huge, and everyone is just different. But they all look like they fit the same aesthetic while being, like, different to, like, stare at. It's so cool, and I just love that. And I love, like, all of the jokes and the humor that the Turtles get to play with. There is just so much coming at you at once with, like, actual, like, young people talking in the same room together, pretending they're brothers, and you just feel the camaraderie and chemistry between the four main cast members. They're all doing great. They all feel young, they all feel vibrant, they all feel different. They all feel like kids of this era. Michelangelo wants to make new friends. He wants to try to explore like his humor and see what's possible from that. Donatello longs for this connection with a more like, you know, nerdy crowd. Raphael is a bit of a jock. He doesn't want to be cooped up with his brothers. He wants to go out and like rough around and do some fun stuff. And Leonardo wants a girlfriend, which is a funny story. And it's such a cool thing to see. I really like that. And all of those young actors, like they are doing so much good work here. Like the voice acting is so incredible. And they are doing so much of the heavy lifting of that. And I cannot wait to see what comes next, because we are getting more of this. Like there is just so much opportunity for them to experience and have some cool new jokes to tell, and I cannot wait to see that. You definitely feel like these guys like each other. They were in the same room, they're talking over each other all the time. They feel like brothers having a great time, having a fun conversation with silly jokes, not taking anything too seriously while scrolling on their phone, and that's a really cool thing to see. Now, there might be, as perfect as the Turtles are, and I do think they are perfect interpretations for a 2020 crowd, as perfect as they are, there might be some audience members who are very hesitant with other portrayals of characters in here. For instance, Io Edebiri's April O'Neil. Now, I won't say anything about what those people might say. All I'll say is if you look at some of the original art for April, well, that design stands true. And if we're doing a modern update of what like a young teenager would look like in an urban city like New York, that's what April would look like. Quietly delivering some of the funniest and most interesting jokes. It's really weird. You could definitely feel like this was written for Io because like it is so much of her sensibilities, and they just let this April be weird and have difficulties and learn throughout the story. They do some really weird jokes with her. They all land perfectly. She is one of, it's so hard to say because I think every iteration of April has been really good, but that is just the perfect, like, here's the audience surrogate coming in to experience this world. And she's doing phenomenal at that, and I love to see it. On top of that, though, y'all know I'm a fan of Master Splinter. I love the guy. I think there's so much to explore here. And this interpretation does feel the most different from other iterations of the character. But oh, what they do with him is so funny. And Jackie Chan does not phone it in. Now, he's done voice work before, and it's fine. You don't really think about some of that stuff. But what he's doing here really feels like a parent struggling to like tell their kids a certain thing or not wanting to, be alone. And that's a whole bunch to explore. And he's doing a great job at exploring that and dealing with that. And the jokes they take with Splinter and the ideas they present for him are really funny. They stray away from stuff you've known before, but that's good. If we just wanted the same thing, we just get that. But taking new chances, doing new things, fighting a giant whale in the city of New York, and we have a freaking Spider-Man moment from like the Raimi movies. I'm not going to spoil it, but we straight up do like a weird thing from the Raimi movies about New Yorkers helping heroes. That is so weird, but it also feels like a very specific callback because that's like, I guess it's like before the era that these turtles would have watched. They're definitely like the Holland guys because they've seen Endgame. They've seen Batman stuff. It's really funny. They've seen JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. It's so hip, and it's got a beautiful score. Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, like, so good. It's subtle but loud at the same time. The animation is so fluid. The transitions are so fluid. Every character design looks incredible. It is a phenomenal movie. It just works on every level. And this is one of the few I would show a young person. There's other iterations that are really good, and there's some that skew younger too. But this one is just like, yeah, if you are like 9, this is right up your alley. It's bright colors, it's good music, it's really simple jokes that you would be familiar with. We can reference things like having Riz and BTS, and it all makes sense for that generation. And the fact that the Turtles have been so universally translated just through like every iteration is so cool to see. This one, it's hard to say if it's my favorite solely because I have been going through all the movies and I've just grown up with so much of the Turtles, but to have that experience of being like an older guy now, going to a cinema, seeing like a younger audience enjoy what's on the screen, that's pretty cool for Turtles. I do appreciate that. One of the best times at the movies I've had in a long time, and we've had a lot of good movies lately. This one just speaks true to me because I've always been a Turtle fan. I'll always be a Turtle fan. And this iteration is so modern that I understand it perfectly, and I'm glad it's working. It is really good. It's impressive what they managed to do here. Like, I'm hesitant to see if we can keep up this momentum because, Paramount did order like a 2-season show. I don't know if we could do that. Maybe it only works when we do like, the 100-minute format, but hey, this is impressive and it's really cool. And I want more. I'd love to see more. Great sting at the end. Great time. Just a beautiful piece of movie. It's Spider-Verse. That's what this is. Like, it's what Spider-Verse did for the Spider-Man mythos and that animation style. This is going to do the same for like those other 80s nostalgia pieces. Just you wait. So, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. I am going to give a 9 out of 10. Now, thank you all for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And hey, if you want to see some of the other stuff of the Cowabunga Summer, like some of the other movies, the only ones I haven't talked about yet are the Michael Bay, Megan Fox ones. But if you want to see any of the other ones, I encourage you to do so. I would put this in the top 3 Ninja Turtle movies ever. So, check those out. And if you don't want to, just have fun, stay safe, and good luck.